this?
Who is this?
Who is this?
The new ESPN 850 900.
All right. In my younger days, is there a place called Simon's still open here?
No, Simon's not around.
Oh, I didn't know.
They
We
just-
act like I live here.
There's a new place called Simon's.
Oh, they
that just opened up.
redid it, huh? They brought it back?
Yeah, it's a nightclub type deal, Miami.
Okay, no. Not, Simon's was like a little tad bit different back in my day. That was like
Oh, it's a rave place.
Yeah.
Back in your drug days? Or
Well, but
what?
I've never
I know.
done drugs ever in my
I
life.
hung around the people
But
that
I
did.
hung around a lot of people that
and
did.
offered to sell them fake ecstasy.
I was your driver.
You know what would be funny if somebody
I was
walks
your
by and goes,
driver.
"Wait a minute, aren't you the guy 15 years ago?
I gave you
Where's
that
my $40?" My dad said he gave you $40. That's how old I'm getting. Hey, all right, it's Dubstep Thursday, okay? Just to explain to our good friend Danny Money at CanesInSight.com.
Oh, that was a P word, too.
That was what is that?
With a P.
That
My
was a
boy
P
is-
word dubstep. That was Promises by Skrillex.
Nice.
All right. Uncle Luke
is
upstairs
proficient.
doing some hard
Using another
work.
P word.
Scared me, Luke.
There you go. Danny Money, CanesInsight.com, our guest here on the Sports Fix each and every Thursday to talk about the Miami Hurricanes. Danny, good morning. How you doing, buddy?
I was doing better the last time I talked to you coming off that Boston College game, but, working my way up.
Well, Cameron, Cameron did a great job in your absence, though. We want to appreciate him for stepping up and doing a great job last week. Unfortunately, he was given the task to, explain what the hell happened out there in Manhattan, Kansas. But as disappointed as I was about that performance, with the exception of Duke Johnson, hard for me to get very much more excited about their performance at home against Bethune-Cookman. A ho-hum victory with the exception of Duke. Help fans stay excited for the rest of the season if they're Miami Hurricane fans.
Well, you mentioned Duke.
You've got mail.
That's one.
That's enough.
One.
I'm struggling beyond that. The Bethune game really, I didn't think the team as a whole played that bad, but really the story of the Bethune game was Stephen Morris was just incredibly inaccurate in that game. And I think he was solid, not spectacular in the first two games, but the thing you could say about him was that he was accurate. He was hitting his targets. He wasn't missing high like he had done as a young player, and his accuracy really looked improved. And then you get to the Bethune game, and he really couldn't hit anything. The first throw, he had Duke Johnson wide open on a sluggo, overthrew him a bit, would have been a sure touchdown, and from there it was just kind of downhill. The other real negative you take from that game is that he was feeling pressure from Bethune-Cookman. He was hit a few times, and it really affected the way he was standing in the pocket. So that worries you about him, and also the fact that the offensive line can't protect Stephen Morris against Bethune-Cookman. Georgia Tech is much improved up front. They have that Algro defense. It's a little unpredictable, and that's certainly a concern going forward.
I remember when we talked to you prior to the season, the day that Miami kind of announced that Stephen Morris was going to be the starting quarterback. I thought that was a bit dramatic because all along I assumed Stephen Morris was going to be the quarterback. With it potentially having been maybe something they had to think about, make a decision on in the summertime, is there a chance we could see a move at the quarterback position if Stephen Morris continues to play the way he's played the last couple of weeks?
I don't think so. And even going back to the Kansas State, there's a big debate on among Hurricane fans and our board in particular about how Stephen Morris played against Kansas State. I thought he played fine. He was accurate. He hit his spots. He took a really big hit and got shaken up towards the end of the game. And after that, he was a little shaky. But if you look at his numbers for the game, they were fine. Didn't turn the ball over. Actually fumbled it a couple times, getting hit from the backside. But he played okay in that game. At Boston College, he played very efficiently. Bethune, if he plays at that level going forward against tougher competition, certainly you might see a move down the road. But I think we're very far away from that. And this game is really, really huge for Stephen Morris and his confidence. He actually went up as a true freshman to Georgia Tech and beat them in their stadium in his second start. So there's a place he's familiar with. And if he can muster up a good performance and really keep Miami in the game and potentially win the game, that would do wonders for his confidence and the fan base's confidence in him.
Yeah, I'm convinced that everything revolves around the quarterback, and you winning and losing and your leadership and all that good stuff. And and Steven's that guy. Now, when you get a guy like Duke Johnson come around every once in a while, I mean, this is a very special running back. What does that do for a guy that's a good guy here? Nothing but good things about Mike James, number 5. I mean, he's a guy that was in even a lot of the magazines as far as a feature guy, you know, because they didn't know what Duke Johnson was going to bring to the table. How has he handled this? And I heard he's nothing but a team-type player. So how has that affected him at all, or is it any negativity whatsoever?
Well, you said it. He's a very positive guy, very team-oriented, has taken Duke under his wing. And he's actually having a good year. He's averaging about 5 yards a carry. Last year with his turf toe, he was limited to under 4, about 3.7, I want to say. And he wasn't really himself. This year he looks fresher. He's more efficient. And his game really complements Duke's game because they're both very versatile players. Mike James can block. He can line up at fullback with Duke at halfback. You know, if you split Duke out wide, he could be that one back. He really can do a few things. He can also catch the ball. So when you have two versatile players like that don't necessarily overlap in terms of skill set, you know, obviously with James being the bigger back and Duke being the big playback, it works well. So I think they have a really nice thing going with those two. And Eduardo Clements is the short yardage and third down back. He does a good job in that role. So the running back rotation looks fine so far, and I think a lot of fans want to see more of the running backs, maybe see Stephen Morris under center a little bit more, and hopefully the downfield play action game, which has been absent so far, comes to life against Georgia Tech.
Danny Money, CanesInsight.com, our guest here on the Sports Fix. Danny, the injury bug hit the Canes last week in the form of Denzel Perryman, apparently not going to be able to play against Georgia Tech. For as important as, you know, playing your assignments and being smart but still being able to get to the football, you don't want to not have that against Georgia Tech. How big a loss is Denzel Perryman to this defense against the Georgia Tech squad?
There could not be a bigger loss. Perryman is really the only guy in the Miami defense. Chickalo is a very good player, but Perryman is the only guy where you could say, you know, he's as good as anybody in the state, if not the South. I mean, he really is on that elite level with all the UM linebackers that have come before. I'm not going to say he's Ray Lewis yet, but, you know, seeing John Beeson at the same age, even seeing Ray Lewis at the same age, he's on that track with how many impact plays he's making. So the loss of Denzel Perryman is enormous. And if you go back and look, the funny thing is Miami is a double-digit dog, and deservedly so, but their defense has completely obliterated Georgia Tech the past 3 years. But when you watch those highlights, you see Sean Spence, probably the best linebacker in the ACC at the time, blowing plays up in the backfield. Colin McCarthy, who's starting in for the Titans in the NFL, and Denzel Perryman last year as a true freshman. They're the ones that are continuously making plays against that Georgia Tech option attack. So now to not have any of those three guys and to be relying on really sophomores that haven't played at all, redshirt freshmen, it's very scary, and you could not have a bigger loss heading into this week than Denzel Perryman.
Well, 3 o'clock, I believe that game is going to be on ABC or ESPN, one of those two networks there. I'll have to DVR it because I'm busy on Saturday, and then I'll come home and watch it. And it's going to be a big game for Miami, and obviously could impact the way the rest of the season plays out. Danny Money, CanesInsight.com, the best in the business, covering the Miami Hurricane football program. As always, Danny, appreciate your time. Look forward to talking to you next week.
Take care, guys.
Appreciate it. Danny Money, CanesInsight.com. Coming up next, Ira Schofel, the Tallahassee Democrat, Florida State with the biggest game of the weekend. Up.